And Kamala Harris also makes no mention of the crippling interest rates, how high they are. The current average rate on a 30-year fixed mortgage is nearly 6.5%. That is up 133% since the Biden-Harris administration took over.
No.
People are definitely not falling for these Kamala Harris tricks. Her moment of manufactured praise, the honeymoon phase, is just about over. It's so bad the same media that's been propping her up all of a sudden over the last 30 days, when before they reported over and over that nobody liked her, well, they're starting to tell the truth again and calling her out. From this Washington Post headline to CNN.
Economic pieces of these economic policies, how they would actually work. And Julia, I think people are watching this and absorbing this and wondering to themselves, okay, maybe that sounds interesting. Would it actually work? Will these things actually do what Vice President Harris wants them to do?
I think this was a masterclass in sticking to the script, keeping things very voter friendly, keeping the details incredibly light, and not talking about how you have to pay for it all. If Donald Trump is sort of Harry Potter in terms of the magician for his policies, this was a bit Hermione Granger. It wasn't even just about not paying for it. She said she was going to reduce the deficit despite all these giveaways as well. And I understand that's politics at this moment, but I think your point is so accurate when she was talking about all of the things that are impacting people, whether it's high prices, and we know prices have soared over this administration, unaffordability crisis in housing. I mean, house prices, the median house price is up 20% over the past 3 years. She talked about the profits of grocery stores. Their margins are incredibly thin. For every dollar sale, they make profits of around 1 to 3 cents. Just try proving that their price gouging is going to be incredibly difficult beyond anything else. On housing, she said at the end of her first term, she hopes to have those 3 million houses built. But in order to do that, a lot of these home builders, and they are saying that they'll provide incentives, they're going to have to borrow money, and we know interest rates are really high. So a lot of that's going to depend on mortgage rates coming down, which could end up fueling house prices even higher if people start buying. But also home builders are going to want to be able to borrow at lower rates as well. I mean, I can pick out a whole host of other things where the devil's going to be in the detail, and it's all going to be about the execution.
Yeah, Ainsley, look, Kamala Harris is either financially illiterate or she believes her audience is. This is called come on marketing. The $25,000 credit is a come on, it will not happen. The $6,000 child credit requires you to have 2 kids in the same year. That's a come on. The 4 million homes that she came out with yesterday in 4 years is absolutely impossible in this country. And to control prices is a come on. This is a marketing strategy, a gimmick where there's a promise of an offer that cannot be delivered at scale. It's typically used as a bait and switch, some kind of offer that exaggerates, that has hidden costs, exaggerated claims. And Kamala Harris is the come on queen now. That should be her new title.
What's required for a first-time homeowner? I know you told our producers earlier that it takes a lot more than $25,000.
Yeah, look, $25,000 credits are already being delivered by builders, by the way. So the government doesn't need to do this. The builder is willing to do it today. But even if you could do that, the average loan today is over $400,000. The average cost of a home is $440,000. So even if you gave a credit, the first-time home buyer does not have the down payment. $32,000 on average this year is the down payment, much less the ability to maintain the house, to take care of the insurance, which could be as high as $1,000 a month, the HOA fees, and the property taxes.
2 things I want to point out. Builders are giving a lot of incentives to motivate buyers. New buyers are having issues right now, though. The biggest issue is home affordability being at the lowest since the early 80s. Many buyers can't even qualify for loans because the borrow amount is more than what they can afford in the first place. Then on top of that, you have high interest rates, property taxes doubling in some areas, and you have a full-blown insurance crisis in some states like California and Florida, where people are seeing their renewals doubling to losing their insurance altogether. And when you add the mortgage interest, taxes, insurance, and for some people HOAs, you have a very expensive monthly payment, a payment that average salaries can't afford. People are right now spending anywhere from 30 to 50% of their income on their mortgage or rent. Yeah, that's 30 to 50% just on shelter, experiencing a financial crisis. As far as home buyers, this doesn't even include maintenance or any other surprises that come along with homeownership. If you're actively living in a house, things are going to break and you can't call the landlord to fix it. You can unexpectedly have to pay for a new water heater, a furnace. And don't talk about the AC. Your AC breaking down in the summertime is a total nightmare. You know, when it's 7 p.m. Friday night, 95 degrees, and 110 degrees inside your house, that's insufferable.
Welcome back to the show. For a check of the current conditions, here's Glorilla.
Hey, it's 7 p.m. Friday. It's 95 degrees.
I ain't got no sunburn cause I got sunscreen on me. I'ma show my forecast for the rest of the week. How are we gonna cool off in this kind of heat? Turn on all the fans, turn on the AC, turn down all the blinds cause it's hot and sticky. 60% chance that a cold front will advance. Till then it's hot as Hades. Now let's hit this dance.
It's 7 p.m. Friday. It's 95 degrees.
The severity of being miserably hot and having to shell out thousands of dollars on repairs can be devastating if you don't have the extra money for it. And we've all seen the reports that most Americans don't even have $1,000 set aside for an emergency. Issues with the water, pipes, roofing. It's really a lot to be responsible for, and that responsibility is expensive. A bunch of cackling and laughter is not going to fix that. It's going to take money. And you're going to need even more of it since we've experienced all of this inflation under the Biden-Harris administration. The Inflation Reduction Act just turned 2 years old a couple of days ago, and it was Kamala Harris who had the deciding vote in the Senate, not only as the vice president, but as the president of the Senate.
Happy anniversary, VP Harris. Today is the 2-year anniversary of the Inflation Reduction Act, in which you cast the deciding vote in the Senate. And now the cost of living for the American people is on average 20% more than it was when the act was passed. Even last year, President Biden admitted that the cost of living had gone up 15%, and yet you stayed the course.
So yeah, inflation, the poor economy, high interest rates, and low home affordability is keeping a lot of millennials and Gen Z out of the housing market. Giving them $25,000 is only going to further increase the prices. If everybody's getting $25,000, then all the prices will just increase by at least $25,000. And if they couldn't afford to really qualify for the home on their own, in a few years we'll see more foreclosures as a result of people locking down mortgages that they clearly can't afford. Forget maintaining a house, they won't even be able to afford paying the mortgage to keep the house. And let's be honest, Harris mentioned that plan was going to help the first generation. When she's speaking on first generation, she's talking about immigrants. So basically, they're telling us that this $25,000 is going to put Americans in homes. No, what they're trying to do is house those illegal immigrants. They're the ones that's new to the system, not us. We've been here forever.
So while she says she'll give $25,000 away, it's like the car dealer that says, look, the payments are going to be $90 a month and no money down, but you get there and you leave with a $500 or $600 payment. It's impossible to deliver, like the American Rescue Plan and the Inflation Reduction Act that delivered nothing to this country. It was $3.2 trillion. That could have built 8 million homes, or it could have provided 48 million Black households with $300,000 in cash, but that didn't happen either.
Cardone said something interesting. He said instead of wasting a bunch of money that didn't help stimulate the economy at all and only made inflation worse, that money could have been used to build 8 million homes, or 48 million Black households could have received $300,000. Now, the Black people receiving money is the part that caught my attention. Grant Cardone is saying, hey, you know the reparations owed to the descendants of slaves? Well, instead of Kamala and Biden wasting money on these bad deals, like the Inflation Reduction Act, the money could have been used to finally deal with the long-suffering elephant in the room. When Grant is talking about money to Blacks, he's basically talking about reparations. But yeah, it was definitely a point that was interesting considering Kamala Harris, the so-called Black American woman that's not Black American or Black, she's in office right now, and she already told us she would never do anything for Black people.
So I'm not gonna sit here and say I'm gonna do something that's only gonna benefit Black people. No.
Note to us, but she could take money allocated for the Freedmen's Bank, money stolen from freed Black Americans, the designation and benefits that she's now trying to spread across to other minorities. I mean, any and everybody except for us. And it's cool for her to take from us and tell us she's not going to give us anything, only to turn around and allocate over $26 billion alone to her AAPI community, specifically using 2 federal programs, $20 billion in government contracts to AAPI businesses, and another $6 billion in funding. Remember, I reported on that over a week ago. That was for 2023 alone. The link to the full video is below, but it's amazing that you have a billionaire willing to tell the truth that they could have helped Black people with all that money. Meanwhile, you got Steve Harvey telling us to stop asking for tangibles.
If we don't vote, how we gonna ask for something next time? If you ain't got no voting power, you talking about reparations. Ain't nobody finna give you no reparations and you don't vote. Oh, why you think they finna give us some money? No how, man. I hope they do. They owe us. I'll go down there.
Yeah, enough people are not falling for the joke Kamala is playing with America right now. Everybody's not stupid. That may work with her newfound diehard supporters that just realized they liked her 30 days ago, but people looking at this with common sense can easily see that she's running game. When the Washington Post and CNN, the folks that's been worshiping this woman for weeks now, had to come out and be honest about her horrible economic plan, then it's gotta be really bad. Let's go ahead and get the conversation started. Let me know what you think about all this below. Grant Cardone is basically saying that Biden and Harris, they had the opportunity to help Black people with all this extra money they spent and the money they're spending, but refused to do it. And even when you look at Kamala's latest plan, that $25,000, that plan is set up to undermine Black Americans and lift up migrants. Tell me what you think about this below. Special thank you to T.O., Dark Power, and Daryl. I appreciate all of you for your support. Don't forget that you can support this channel as well. Links to Cash App and PayPal are below. Ladies, fellas, want a balanced analysis, want the truth from a woman's perspective? Then you're going to want to subscribe to this channel and don't forget to like and share.